Hey everybody, it's Alex Meller at Capneon here. I'm going to start with DeepSeek and then I'm going to go approximately everywhere else in the universe talking about strategy and risk management in general before I come back to DeepSeek. I think a really useful lesson that one could take from recent events that I haven't really seen anyone put out there, so I will, is that we really don't know the future of AI with that much accuracy. And you should not go through this discontinuity in expectations about the future and then feel too great in this instance that, okay, now I understand the future and I can plan for it without risk. I'll talk a little more about this, but I expect there to be more of these gyrations. And that today does not look like yesterday is a warning that tomorrow could look different yet again. There's a lot of, mostly going back to the 80s in Japan, like what does military history and strategy have to tell you about being an executive or running a business? And a lot of time the answer is nothing. But I think the one good interface point is managing risk and uncertainty. And a really great story from history is in the Napoleonic days, vaguely. There were two really popular treatises on how to be a good general. And one, and I don't even remember the name of the book or the guy's name, had a mathematical theory of how you line up soldiers in blocks. This kind of soldier should be in a block that's shaped like this. The block should be this long. And that was very important at the time, and people had spent a lot of energy working on those things. This other guy, Clausewitz, had a book that was really about, well, why are you fighting the war, and what are your goals, and how does this interface with other things? And then most importantly, a really important aspect of war is that you're going to get into it, and it turns out you didn't really know what was going on, and there's going to be all these scary developments. So while you should, of course, have a plan, it's a really, really important part of that story. Well, how can that plan be updated on the fly to react to these possible scary events? The other side is trying to throw you a curveball. People are not trying to make the world safe and orderly for you. Mike Tyson, the boxer, a man of some limitations, but someone you can trust to tell you about the mean streets, uncertain aspects of reality. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think it's a really interesting and useful irony. Clausewitz wrote this book that is celebrated even to today. People still read it at military academies. And a big chunk of the book is not about all the things that Clausewitz knows about war. It's about all the things that nobody knows about war while they're doing it, and how do you adapt to that. This other book that purported to have this very rigorous theory of how to do everything is today laughably worthless. So coming back to DeepSeek, I think the business world, I would really love it if you took this to heart if you're listening. The business world, I think, doesn't fully appreciate. I like to say AI is both too mature and not mature enough for corporate America. It's rare that something that is so much the topic of serious research, basic understanding, changing relatively rapidly, is so relevant to business. And there's a lot of argument by non-imagination that I think is pretty dangerous. Just because no one has figured out a way to do something doesn't mean that nobody will, especially in a fast evolving area. You have to kind of look and see that people haven't even been trying that hard. So in the case of DeepSeek, people had a lot of assumptions about various kinds of bottlenecks in producing models holding up, and what models could cost, and how that would filter through to capex of this or that company. And they were all predicated on people not figuring out how to solve a particular problem. People hadn't been trying that hard. And it looks like people might have more leg in them in China, in the United States, in Estonia, in Nigeria. Who knows? People might have more legs under them for solving these problems that we really think. So if this affects your business, you're generally interested, you're an investor. Of course, we all have to do our best to plan for the future and put our chips down somewhere. But it's important to estimate what kind of risk you're taking on. And I would say that in the AI space, things change very fast. They change a lot. They're going to keep changing. Whatever bet you've made about the future of AI, you should look in the mirror and say, is this actually a high risk bet? Am I presuming a lot about the future that could just be wrong? And I think we've gone through a round of people not doing a great job with this. And I hope people look at this DeepSeek incident as not a call, oh, I understand the world now I've got it, but as rather, well, I have to keep presuming I might not all the way understand the world. I might not really know the future. And whatever kind of plan I have, that plan needs some texture in it. Okay, when I turn out to be a little confused, how do I adapt and keep moving?